One of the Metropolitan Police's top cops has warned morale amongst armed officers is at an all-time low, with many fearing the law is loaded against them. Assistant Commissioner Matt Twist says cops no longer have confidence the system which holds them to account is fair, objective or timely. He believes it's deterring recruits from becoming gun cops and is a key reason why there is currently a shortage of armed officers in London. The Home Office is currently conducting a review into how it investigates police shootings after hundreds of armed officers down their weapons in protest of one of their own being charged with the murder of 24-year-old Chris Cabba. Chris, who was unarmed, died from a single gunshot wound to the head after the car he was driving was blocked in by police in South London in 2022. He was just months away from becoming a father. A judge has also ordered the officer charged with his murder to be named publicly at the end of this month. This is a sticky one. I fully think that if you fire a gun, there should be an investigation to make sure that it was done lawfully, rightly,
full accountability.
Correctly. Full accountability, exactly. But the incidences of officers actually firing the guns is so few and far between. When it does happen, and we have tragedies like Chris Cabba, of course, it makes national news. But those incidences are so few and far between that it almost feels like we're going to get to a point, as we are doing now, where we're not going to have gun cops to protect us from actual terrorists.
Yeah.
Would you encourage your child to go in the police force on any level at this point?
No.
If you look at the level of administration, look at the level of intervention, everything being investigated, and if you look at, like, I mean, it's such a shame with these police officers that break the rules and are violent and bigots, because what we do actually need is muscular and decisive policing. In that moment, if you've got somebody you think might be a terrorist and they're making their way towards a tube station, you want people to make split-second decisions and to not be overly... But, I mean, obviously they're accountable, but we're talking about sort of nanoseconds here. And if their thoughts are clouded, I can absolutely understand why a lot of officers are handing their guns back in.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that's the point, isn't it? Because, I mean, what else can you do apart from, I don't know, body cameras, perhaps? But even then, you're making a decision which is a split-second decision, as you say. And the problem is that the other way, and as in, I'm not shooting, I won't shoot at this particular point, it could be a catastrophe.
The stakes are so high, aren't they? I mean, I don't think any of us will ever forget the John Paul de Menezes case after the London terror attacks, where a completely innocent guy, I think he was an electrician, was just misidentified as somebody who was about to commit a terror atrocity and was gunned down. And, I mean, that was just utterly awful. And yet you can sort of see how it happened, you know, in that totally febrile atmosphere after we'd had an appalling set of attacks on Londoners and many people had died. You know, split-second decisions. But this runs through the armed forces as well, you know, the persecution and pursuit of our veterans over split-second decisions many years later. It comes down to the whole culture of accountability and trying to get the balance right there. I mean, you know, in a whole other realm, I was talking to a GP yesterday who says that the fear of being pursued by the General Medical Council over making the wrong decision is enough to make him want to leave his job and go and work elsewhere.
There is the whole litigious side of life. But my problem with this story is it is the firearms unit. And, you know, as anybody who read the Louise Casey report, looking into the problems in the Met, the firearms unit, the three different areas of the firearms unit, particularly you remember the Parliamentary and Diplomatic Protection Unit, were the worst of the worst of all the bits of the Metropolitan Police. And we've been through this, you know, how misogynistic, how sexist, you know, and in this unit, they were the ones who were, you know, politely, you'd call it fiddling your expenses. It was actually a lot more serious than that. They then have that arrogance to them, you know, where even when Louise Casey went, they were talking down at her, and there were posters where, you know, female police officers' heads had been sort of superimposed with mops and buckets and saying, you know, that's where they should be. You know, and then you've got the Wayne Couzens, you know, the really serious side of it. It was these units that Wayne Couzens and Carrick were both serving, and their colleagues, and we saw the WhatsApp messages and things. So I think there is something really, really rotten in bits of the firearms unit, and they do have that bully boy, we're the guys with the guns. And this isn't just me, you know, this is what Louise Casey wrote in her review, and I think there is a serious problem. And there's a bit of me that thinks, kind of with the Met, but particularly with this unit, it needs to be disbanded and brought and
start again. Start again.
Start again for all these reasons, the good reasons that they need to be protected more, and the bad reasons that actually they're their worst enemy.
This is it. It's bad cops, which is the problem. Because as black people, it's not even just men, black people in London are 7 times more likely to die after being restrained by police officers than white people. That's not shot with a gun. That's literally you're in handcuffs, you're roughed up a bit, and you're 7 times more likely to die. Which then makes me think, well then, giving those people guns is also then a bad idea, because that's just going to increase the chance and the disparity. But sorry, Penny, I interrupted you.
All I was going to say was also, why does it take so long for the investigations? Because my goodness, if you have, and it has been a total one of those split-second decisions that went wrong. If you have that hanging over you for 2 years, just imagining the mental toll. Now, OK, if they are one of the bad apples, you're going to go,
think of the victims' families who want
the victims.
Well, these officers that handed their guns back in, that was one of the things that they mentioned was the length of the inquiries. It seemed disproportionate. Of course,
2 months
should be.
Seems about right, really, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they should be.
This is right across our culture of any kind of investigations. Again, it's the same in the health service.
And the same with the post office.
Years go by with people being paid full salaries while investigations are carried out.
Yeah.